Slam at the Uniting Church, and it's in Canberra, very, very close to the city. And you can ring 6239 4727 if you're interested in joining us, because you're more than welcome. There are two of us here today, which is good. We sometimes only have one, but not often. And John's here, and I'm Bill, and I'm here. And it's round about the time we normally start, about 10 past 11. We usually start at 11 and go to 12. And I've got a couple of poems I'll probably talk more about than I usually do, because they're interesting statements of my political attitude to what's happening to Canberra. And first one I started yesterday, finished this morning. It's called Flats to Apartments. And it's about the change in Canberra, the change in the way the streets look and the way the houses in the streets look. And the fact that once there used to be a lot of very, very cheaply priced flats for public servants back in the 50s and 60s. Now they're becoming very, well, in terms of price, in terms of building them, so sure, apartments for people who breeze in and out and pay enormous sums for short stays and act as lobbyists in Parliament and all this sort of thing. And for people in Canberra, the minority, what it means, for people who've got a lot of money to either buy or long rent apartments. So this is a look at the way Canberra's changed from flats to apartments, and that's what it's called, Flats to Apartments. And the first 6 lines are about the old days where there were a lot of flats, and I mentioned a few of them in the civic region. Very cheaply built, but pretty solid and still lasting. What their fate is, I don't know, but I suspect they'll eventually go. And here it goes. Bega Karong Aloha, once Canberra top town flats. On rent to government workers transferred from lesser places, for wives, children and providers to space out wider. Now housed here are the homeless, workless and less fats, as local service to the poor gets fewer budget graces, and city landlords eye with greed future rich providers. The second is a look at the, not the flats so much, as the apartments, the richly provided places for those coming in and spending their money. Near the flats, High Monteroy's apartments are more pricey. No Narellan hostel students now for Monteroy could pay. Acuna Street's pricier still, where Manhattan's rooms rise fast. Rich tourists now much more will pay. Meanwhile, cheap rooms are dicey, and there New Griffin Centre's another cash cow rising fast to rich array, to soothe the haves and hang the poor. How long will such things last? Now in this poem, the rhyme goes, pricey pay fast, and then dicey array last. That's in the second one I've read. So there's a poetic sort of rhythm in that sense. And also I've tried to keep these syllables pretty much the same, so that you don't get too much clunkety-clunk. In the first one, the rhymes go flats, places, wider, facts, graces, providers. The last one isn't really a rhyme, but it's a near rhyme, and I think gets the spirit of the thing. So I hope it expresses in a mild way my anger at what's happening around Canberra, because that's how I feel, that the rich are taking over and the poor are gradually being eased out. And of course there are a lot more poor now than when I came here in 1968. And it's called Flats to Apartments. If you want a copy of it, you can send a letter asking for Flats to Apartments to PO Box 3514, Marnica, that's 2603, and I'll be happy to just give you name and address. I'll send one off to you. Eventually it might get out into a book. I've had my second book of poetry not launched, but just out. So I'm a published poet, Canberra Press. And I hope before I die I get another one, so I get 3, then I can have a Trinity, Father, Son, Holy Ghost. And that'll be nice before I go. That's number 1. Number 1 poem. Number 2, do you want to read? Or yeah, okay. John will now give me a rest, and John's got a poem, and I'll come back and read my second one. Can I sit here, John?
I just wrote this. I don't know, let's see how it goes. We are here, no one else. Poets we be, 2, not 3. Just Bill and I, no one else. Where are all the poets in this town? This town is full of politicians, drug addicts and bus drivers. Who else lives here? Arty-farties, businessmen, suits and more suits, walking by. Pretty woman too. The porn industry runs this town. Money, money, money. We need some more.
That's good, John. That's lovely. I think you're sort of saying other things that I don't go into, but it's the same thing. I mean, I'm very annoyed at the way the real estate people are taking over the civic area, and you're sort of looking at the wider spectrum. It's a rather unhappy picture.
It's Canberra.
It is Canberra, and this is what we're doing.
I write what I see.
Yeah. Well, that's a very.
I don't
And you wrote that very quickly. Now I've written about 7 copies of the one I've just read before I'm satisfied with it. And the next one is pretty much the same.
Yeah, it took me 5 minutes to scribble.
You did 5 minutes to do that, but the same things that I think pretty basic. That Canberra is the porn capital of Australia. It's certainly got a very, very, very prosperous prostitution industry, as far as I know.
Yeah.
And it's fraying a little bit at the edges because I don't know whether the pros get much money for these. They probably don't because there's not a lot of richness in Canberra.
And when they do get the money, it all goes on drugs anyway.
Well, this is the point. There's a drug industry here, as there is in all capital cities, but it doesn't really have a very vibrant. I think you're right to say the anti-parties. I don't think it's got a very, apart from 1 or 2 exceptions, certainly I'll put Jeff Page and the Poetry Slams he has, and I must give them they're at the AMU every second Tuesday or so at 8 o'clock. They're very good, and they're very professionally run, and I've got a lot of admiration. He doesn't charge enormous prices for people to go there. Now that's the sort of stuff I like. But, and I won't mention other names because it's a bit invidious when you do. But I don't think that many poets are into much more than just their own advancement. And that's to be avoided at all things. I mean, I'm happy I've got 2 books published, and maybe another one, I don't know. But that's incidental. To me, poetry is a social thing.
Yeah, well, that's what my poetry is all about, social.
Could you write another one while I was saying the second
one? Yeah, that's what I'm going to
do. Change into the garden again.
Give me something to write about.
Okay, mate. Well, I'll talk about my second poem.
Well, you give me something to write about.
What you want to see? What about churches like this?
Churches like this?
The Uniting Church. Bit of a sort of praise for them for giving us a place where, frankly, you don't have to pay a thing. And you get a cup of coffee and you over the road there at the early morning breakfast, the Uniting Church, and very grateful for that. So maybe just a few words on the Uniting Church would be good. My one's called, and it's a big one, this one. I tried to sort of look at the whole world, the universe, where we're going, birth, death and resurrection possibly. And it's called A Song of Transition. And it's much short. It's 6 lines. The other one was also 6 lines. I tend to write in 6 lines, but the other one's a bit longer and perhaps a bit more fierce. This one's sort of comment on the way the universe and human beings in the universe operate. And it's a little bit cynical, but not too. I don't mean it to be. It's called Song of Transition. Well, transition, of course, is birth, life and death. And many of us hope resurrection. from where we go after we go. At birth all humans grope to life's birth stage, babes to bands and then a jump to looping bulky lumps. Maturity is another lift which mixes lights and darks. Kindness, a mini need and narrow for those who plot and rage, while others torture chance to strategic dollar clumps. Death brings fire and smoke and bristling eerie sparks. Now that's not hellfire, that's the way many people go when they go. They go to the crematorium, and many people prefer that death. I do too. I think it's a good clean way to dispose of the body instead of burying it and taking up space, which could be used to house the poor and all the rest of it. So I didn't mean hellfire by any means, and I should have made that a little clearer. But I enjoyed writing this, but again, my way of writing poetry is writing at least 5, 6, 7, even 10 drafts, one after another, and then looking at it, changing a word, changing a rhyme, changing a few syllables so that you get a rhythmic pattern. I'm very much into rhythm and rhyme. I like both of them, and I think it gives a certain less serious tone to even the most serious matters like life and death and transition we're all going through. And John's a Christian. I suppose I am too in a vague sort of way, but I do feel that there is something after us, and I welcome it. If there is something after us, I'm ready for it. And I thank the Uniting Church for letting us use their place of worship. And it's John and myself, only two of us here. And really, if any of you really want to come here, give me a ring. I'll give my phone number, 6239 4727. Don't worry about the voice, which is pretty minimal, but just leave a message and I'll tell you more about it. But it's at the Uniting Church, and it is every Wednesday, without fail. And there's two of us here today. The other two couldn't make it, William and
Dave.
Who is it? David. William and David couldn't make it. And Michael occasionally makes it. Michael doesn't write poetry, he's a good critic. But I haven't had him for a few weeks now. So Michael, come back if you want to. But we'd love to have you. Meanwhile, I keep writing, usually about 3 or 4 poems a week, and I revise and do them over again and over again. And John also is a pretty prolific writer, but he does it on the hop. How are you going with yours, John? He does it as on the song. He's getting there. Other poems, I'll just go through some of the more recent ones. I might have read, but maybe repeat them, trying to transition with one of 2 that I did in a week, and the others about the knockdown. Now that I won't recite the poem, it's a bit long, but it's about somebody who didn't really king hit me, just gently hit me, knocked me down because he was angry with somebody and he took his anger out on me. And I didn't feel angry at all. I felt a little bit confused that somebody would do that, but afterwards I didn't go to the cops, I didn't squeal about it. I thought I just let him go on his way, ranting and raving into his cell phone. And it's called a knockdown. And I recited that last week. It's probably on YouTube for last week, which is nice. And other things I do, besides writing verse, poetry, is letters to the editor. I've written one with Canberra Town about the Griffin Centre being taken over by the ACT government, or one of the departments of the ACT government. And I feel very strongly about this. David has also written a letter about this. None of them have, as far as I know, yet been published. And so be it. If they don't want to publish it, that's their business. I can't tell them what to do. But the general feel that I have is that it's wrong for a government like the ACT government to take over anything. They should leave it to the people who are doing a much better job of things than governments anywhere, whether it's the local ACT government or the federal government. Leave it to the people and the job is better done. Other poems I've written, which again have gone on to YouTube, some of them anyway, likes and dislikes, where I'll have a crack at drivers steering buses with the skill of bronco jumps, and shrill and manic managers who see their bailiwicks shrink. Enough of them around at the moment. And also, how you going, John? Are you okay there with your one? It's on the way, I'm sure. And the other poem I wrote is on Gloria Jean, the coffee loungers, supposedly linked to Hillsong, but apparently they're not, from what I can gather, the research I've done anyway. They're not linked at all with that right-wing organisation, Christian organisation. But Gloria Jeans is still going, although when borders closed down, a lot of these shops went. I've been there, and I really like them. They have good coffee, nice cakes, very pleasant service. And I think some of the stuff about them being with the right-wing Hillsong Church are just not true. I don't think I think it's one of these things that people say and believe in. The other one's very typical, Save the Griffin, which I won't recite. It's a plea for the Griffin to... On the other poem, I'm very keen on writing poems about buses and busing. How are you going, John? Are you ready now? Yeah, almost, of course he is. Okay, John, over to you, mate.
I'll see
See how you go.
Well, here's something I just put together. Churches like this, where we stand, uniting church it be, peace, love and harmony. Where the early morning centre is, free food for the underprivileged, free for all who are in need.
Right.
United in Christ we be, we stand under the cross of Christ's death. I worship his resurrection, others worship his death. In Christ we trust, we move forward, we try not to bust.
It's good, it's terrific. Yes, you've got to believe in something, and Christ, of course, is a figure that has provided inspiration and hope for many people. And for you particularly, John, it seems.
Yeah.
Got another one there?
Oh, I've just got things that I wrote a long time ago.
Okay.
It's all clockwork based, I don't know.
That's okay. You've got to have some clock to keep you going.
Well, here's something that I wrote a while back. It's called Don't Let the Clockwork Rewind.
No.
Droogs of the new age, living in the height of fashion, horror show times that are coming for you. Just like the chaos mutant, we're coming to get you. For we are the droogs of the new age. It's the height of fashion. All the horror in our pasts, all the horror, it's a horror times. A horror show in your eyes, the clockwork is a rewinding. All the debauchkas need a finding. A V Malenki pretty polly, a V Malenki ultra. Ultra violence, violence in your minds. It ain't gonna stop, it ain't gonna go. Your number one crop, it's a horror show. Let the red crobby flow. No, it ain't gonna stop, it ain't gonna go. All them horror times that passed in your minds will make you go blind, so just let the crobby flow. Life's a show, horror show. Life's dreaming coming on strong. We are your future fantasies of our pasts. You stay as you are and you'll become like us, the droogs of the new age. So just get your lives together or you'll become just like us, the droogs of the new age.
Very good, very good. Yeah, beware everybody, because those sort of things that John's suggesting, or things akin to that, you can get into trouble.
Yes, and you can end up where I've been. You don't want to do that.
No, well, you've learned, I think, the hard way.
Bars, not good.
You've learnt the hard way, no? And I think that's the way many of us learn. And, well, I've been lucky. I had good parents. I had...
I had good parents. I just rebelled against them.
Through some miracle, I kept out of jail, although I was near enough to it when I was demonstrating. But I there's something in me that, for swears, I'm a bit like David, violence. I'm not into violence at all. And I'm not very, verbally I can be very violent, very cross and very angry. But physically I draw away from it. I'm not physically. But with me, lately, since '09, and since I started writing poetry, poetry's provided an almost spiritual interest and momentum for the life I have. As I'm getting older and a little bit sort of groggier and weaker, you've got to hang on to things. And one of the things I'm trying to hang on to is Canberra as a city of much more than just a lot of public servants doing things that many of us don't like, but a city that has many kind of people in it, many good people, such as again I refer to them, defer to them, to the Uniting Church, as John said, providing breakfast every morning of the week and over the holidays and all the rest of it. But I also find poetry is a thing to write and not get too serious about it, not get trying to find what you are. I mean, I've pretty much given that up. But just observing, observation, journalistic poetry is largely what I've got. And occasionally I write a thing called the Muse. That's that little something we have. Christians may call it the soul, but it's the same sort of thing. It's something in you that gives you a creative spurt, and you know you're on a good thing, as I do now when I'm talking like this, where you're being yourself in the best sense of that word, rather than just running around, having your meal, doing this, doing good, occasionally doing bad, of course, we're all human, but you're doing something a little more creative. And the Muse in Flight was one of these I wrote in March this year. Time does it not go? And it goes like this: the whoosh of wild words, go, 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 or ice cream clouds that graze below. No movies, music, razzmatazz, but bawling babes this virgin has. And that's when I was on a virgin flight. And I thought babies and virgins and movies and razzmatazz and all
So you're talking about the Virgin Mary?
That's right, exactly. There's a bit of a sort of virgin, of course, gave birth to Christ, defying the usual way things go. And then there's another one I'll go out on this one before I have a rest. Travel time and money, and that was on buses. I think another thing about Sydney and Melbourne and indeed Canberra, they're all varied places. Canberra's a little less frightening than Sydney. Adelaide's a bit different. I haven't really got my mind around Adelaide, but Canberra I suppose I have, and I can take it, but it irritates me very much. But anyway, the poem goes: travel time and money. A bus takes 3 drear hours, the plane's a 1/6 that time, from Sydney's harbour bowers to Canberra's shine-bum climb. Though taxis gather quickly, the waits are rather long, and prudence grows more sickly as money plans go wrong. You spend too much money there, and when you spend too much money, I think you often forget that money's not everything, and it isn't. It's a very ephemeral thing, which we all have. It's useful, I must admit that. And if you've got a child or two to bring up, it's necessary. It's very necessary to have money. If you don't have money, you can be poor, and many people are in Canberra. The homelessness rate in Canberra is appalling. They don't even have showers, public showers where they can shower. They don't have washing machines. I think they've got one now here at the Uniting Church. I think the Uniting Church has got a shower now too, hasn't it? No, I was going to check with one of the Uniting Church people about that. But poor people need to shower. They need to go to the toilet. They need to wash their clothes, even if they're homeless. And I don't think often Canberra bureaucrats in the local assembly, much less the bigger one, the national one. Think about that. This is in memory of a workmate. It was written in March this year, and it's a woman, a very wise and wondrous woman, as I say in the poem, in memory of a workmate. May was a wondrous, wise, warm woman, loved talking in a voice clear as a rare riddle. Wide read, nice bread, she bowed to no man. Hard working, with a vigour age denying, you saw books more vital than anybody's drill. I see and hear you now, you're dead and yet undying. Mr. May, that's a darling heart. People who've influenced me and made me happy. Got another one?
Yeah.
Very productive we are.
Oh. Yeah,
Got your costume?
I've got something that I wrote a while back for my band, actually. Suicide is calling the weak. Living life is for the strong. The weak shall falter. The strong shall survive. Death looks so welcoming, but life is meant to be. We are the strong, and we shall survive. We'll live life long, to do that we'll strive. For we are punks in skins. We wear Dr. Martin boots upon our feet. We have shaved heads and mohawks. We slam dance in the pit. We love making our noise. We love playing with our toys. For we are boot slam, and we shall survive and move forward. For we are strong.
That's good. That's very good. And it's an affirmation of living, isn't it? In the way that you're used to, in the way that gives you enlightenment. That's one. That's what we all try to do, novices like me. Not in that way. I don't like it to get on a bike and slam away, but I can always write and scribble and talk and all that sort of thing. And talk's important, and who's talking to whom is one of my March poems, dedicated to two people I saw sitting in a city cafe, each preoccupied more by their mobile phones than each other. And that's a sad commentary on a lot of reality around. You see people talking to things and to voices in the void rather than to each other. And that's really what John and I are doing here, talking our poetry to people who watch YouTube, and I hope you'll get a chance to see this and give us a bit of a
critique. Comment. Give us a comment. Critique.
Give us a critique. Yeah, as John says. Give us a comment. You can do that on by fiddling around with the machine.
On YouTube you can do it. Yeah.
You can YouTube backwards, can you? Yeah.
Or you just write a comment at the bottom of the video.
Well, there you go. Write a comment on the bottom of the video. More than I can do, because I don't have a video. But anyway, you who do, you're very welcome. And very welcome to have you just come along if you can. And also, well, certainly the comments, and John will feed them back and we'll chat about them to you, and where you go. Now, neither of us, John nor myself, are paid actors. We haven't been taught how to perform in front of an audience or anything like that, but it's something that I know John has naturally, something I've had through a bit of training, a bit of feedback, a bit of commentary on me. I remember when I first started public speaking, somebody said I was like Norman Gunston. Do you remember Norman Gunston? A rather nervous little bloke on TV. Well, I hope I've improved since those
This one was the toilet paper stuck to his...
Yes, yeah, the toilet paper stuck to his... Well, I don't know whether I had that, but I certainly had a somewhat nervous manner of talking. I still have traces of that. But the main thing about performing, and John could sort of say more about this than me, is that you do it as naturally as you can, as if you're talking to your old grandmother or indeed to a child in a different way. I mean, if you talk to a child, of course, you've got to be more attuned to their world. Or if you're talking to a group of children, you've got to be aware that the little darlings like making a little bit of noise, and so you don't shush them, you just let them run around. And often they enjoy that a lot more than listening to you, so you just keep talking and eventually they might listen to you. Anyway, this one is Well, I submitted to a magazine, haven't heard from them. I think they're still puzzling what it's trying to say. I'm no mobile carrier, preferring flights with friends. I love conversing face to face and savour full-on speaking and sampling life's rich gossip in all its tweaks and bends. Mobiles reign in language, face-facing, Kindles reaching. So get away from those bloody mobiles and start talking to human beings. And I think you'll find life much more interesting, and at least I have. And just one-to-one, or in a group, a small group such as we have here. And, we've got people like David and William who come here, and they have different voices to me and different voices to John, and yet they have something to give. I think William, what did he do last week? He was reading out an advertisement, Chinese doctor. He's making a poem of that, and poems can be made out of anything.
Yeah, that's
And they can be done just like that. How are we going?
Okay, I'll tell you what I'll do. Grab this, and I'll read something out of it.
Yeah, okay, read out concluding sort of text, and we'll...
I'll open this.
An unknown page. Conclude our session. Oh!
And we'll see what this poem turns into, eh?
In the Bible.
Oh, it's a song. The life of discipleship. Go not far from me, O my strength, whom all my times obey. Take from me anything thou wilt, but go not thou away. And let the storm that does thy work deal with me as it may. On thy compassion I repose, in weakness and distress I will not ask for greater ease, lest I should love thee less. Oh, 'tis a blessed thing for me to need thy tenderness. Thy love is many a lighted path, no outward eye can trace. My heart beholds thee in the deep, with darkness on its face. With thee communes amid the storm, as in a secret place. My heart is fixed, O God, my strength. My heart is strong to bear. I will be joyful in thy love and peaceful in thy care. Deal with me for my Saviour's sake, according to his prayer.
Bible?
It's a songbook.
A songbook, a hymn book, is it?
Yeah, I don't even know what it was. And they T.T. Waring,
Oh, yeah.
1823 to 1910.
Good.
And, well, I'll read the next one.
Yeah, go ahead. Interesting.
Hope, joy, peace. In heavenly love abiding, no change my heart shall fear. And safe is such confiding, for nothing changes here. The storm may roar without me, my heart may low be laid. But God is round about me, and can I be dismayed. Wherever he may guide me, no want shall turn me back. My shepherd is beside me, and nothing can I lack. His wisdom ever waketh, his sight is never dim. He knows the way he taketh, and I will walk with him. Green pastures are before me, which yet I have not seen. Bright skies will soon be o'er me, where the dark clouds have been. My hope I cannot measure, my path to life is free. My Saviour has my treasure, and he will walk with me.
Lovely. That's probably a hymn to be sung, I'd say.
Yeah.
Got music to it.
Yeah, there's music,
Got
but
a
I wouldn't
rhythm
know
to
how
it.
to sing
Who
it.
wrote that? The same person?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. That's good.
yeah. Huh. That one there has actually got the name on it by one of our poets,
Who?
David Jenkins.
David Jenkins. How about that? Oh, he read it. David Jenkins. Good on you. Well, he's not in there quite yet. Someone will hop up and read another poem.
See?
Get out.
David Jenkins.
There he is. And when did he live?
Oh, question now.
The other David Jenkins.
Yeah.
Well, I help edit a little magazine called Voice, which is up to number 38, and long may it still keep going. And we've got a wonderful poet called P.S. Cottier, who lives in Canberra, and she's written several collections of poetry, and she's published by Canberra Press, and she's a very, very clever person. And it's called Visiting America, which is it's an interesting sort of thing. And it's free verse. I don't think that if there's any rhymes to it, I don't think they're quite apparent. But that's the way many people write poetry these days, and good on her for doing it. And this is how it goes. It's called Visiting America. And it says, these kindly people who open as easily as cans, smile as readily as cheese, talk endlessly of travelling. But I haven't got a passport, one added, explaining why she hadn't visited Australia, as if the explorers of other nations are born with these visas and passports, where others have vaginas and other useful kit, and are just as nice, so you had that all in parenthesis, little funny things at the beginning and end, and are just as nice that it makes you wonder, can such a country with such glowing natives really do bad in the world? Or am I nuts? You may find this little macadamia nut native to Australia now becoming Hawaiian, or when a little Brazilian stripped way beyond bare, but you are not in fact nuts. These people have no sense of irony. They cannot stand outside themselves. They have Australians so long as we are just them. They love Australians as long as we love them. Meant to be. With funny accents and interesting animals. People who wear towels rather than lie on are a totally different tub of peanut butter. Something that needs to be cracked. That's why they spread themselves around. The world's sweet neighbourhood crack house, coming to a country near you. That's it. And good on your P.S. Cottier. That's a very clever poem. I like it anyway, because it's got a lot of meanings and hidden meanings in it. And it made John laugh. What did you laugh at?
I don't know. Just
It's crack house.
no, not just that. Lots of I like to talk about Brazilians and
Yes, nuts. With
and
nuts. Yeah.
all that about the female parts.
Yes, the
all that
giant.
sort of thing.
Yeah. Very frank and free.
Yeah.
She's a Canberran, I think. I'm not sure. She probably goes to those.
Probably pretty open-minded.
Oh, very open-minded. Very great sense of humour. P.S. Cottier. Poet's Voice. It's one of our little poems. And Voice is on sale. I've better give a few ads for the Smith's Alternative Bookshop, where we used to go after this. I don't know whether you ever came down there. There was an older person,
I think
June
it's on
Foster.
Facebook.
June Foster used to go there, and she got sick, poor darling. Michael, in his rather wayward way, used to, but now he doesn't bother. And hence, when I go there, it's just me, so I don't like just sitting there and blinking at the sun. I much prefer people around, or a person such as yourself, John, where we can at least have a conversation.
Well, are you going there today? Well, is it meant to happen today?
No, it's past muster.
It doesn't happen anymore.
There's no idea. And unless there is a gathering of people that are listening to you, watching.
But if we showed up there, something would happen.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. I'm a bit out of it at the moment. I think we've done our thing here nobly.
Yeah, it's all good.
It's been a very, very interesting little dialogue. And,
Yeah.
okay. God's up there watching us, and
Peace be with you.
People on the YouTube, watching YouTube. So thank you. Remember, Uniting Church every Wednesday at 11 o'clock till 12. It's just a little short of 12, about 10 to. But I think we've done our big job.
Yeah, I think so.
Thanks very much, everybody, and especially John for having the YouTube shooting away there.
Yeah.
Okay,
Clockwork Orange.
Clockwork Orange, yes indeed. Okay, mate.